All right, so I'm gonna continue the challenge. And this challenge is to use the loader data in the vans list page. So in our case, we are using our shop. And now what we're basically working with here is that we exported our function loader. And then here we went ahead and we set our loader to the shop page loader. So now when the component renders, our loader is also going to be working. And what this loader is going to allow us to do is actually set back when we load up this element. So it allows us to go ahead and load up all of the API data first and then to load up the component. And this should, I guess, in theory, make everything faster or just more seamless. And I'm going to be seeing the benefits in the upcoming casts. So basically, we can go to our shop. And inside of our shop, we have this. Let's go to our loader data. So maybe I didn't do this part yet. Let me see. Okay, no, I did. So we have our loader data, which says data is here. And basically now all we have to do is, let me go ahead and do this here. We can const data equals use loader data. And we want to import that from React router, and it went ahead and did that for us. And let me go ahead and go back to the bottom of the page. Let's go back here. And now we have our loader. We can go ahead and console.log our data. And if we go inside of Gymnasia, we reload. We forgot to put in the fact that it's a function. We see data is here. So what that basically means is that now we don't have to use this react.use effect, and instead we can just make the call in here. So I can't even talk. We're going to go over how we do that in a moment. All right, so we're going to continue the challenge, and part 2, we basically want to replace a string of data is here, and we want to instead call the function that we're using. So it's going to be very similar, I think, to this async function here. So what I'm thinking is that we can just turn this into an async function. So we can go ahead and export async function loader. And then what we can do here is we can go ahead and say, actually we might have to do it a different way because this is a function being imported. So we can say async function load products. And just for reference, we're getting that function as an import from our api.js, and this is basically just running through the fetch request to get our products. So going back here, we can go ahead and let's go down to our loader. And now what we can basically do is we can say const await our get products, which is this function that's in here. Get products. And okay, actually what I'm thinking here is that we might not even have to do this. So let me say async function const await equals, or const data equals await get products. And now if we go ahead and we return the data, what we should get here when we console.log our data is something different. Wow, that was a weird error. I've never seen that before. Okay, so if we go down here and let's comment out this string right here. What we should get is our array of objects. And basically what I'm thinking here is that what we could do because we're going to set our products to data. I'm going to break my app real quick. And this is going to break it. And instead, I'm going to say set products to data. And we see when the fetch request actually fails, it doesn't blank out the entire screen. So that is also a really good sign. And that means that our error handling is going to hopefully be working correctly. So I can say react.useEffect up here. And let's go ahead and make sure this only runs once. I'm not sure if this part will work. So await. So this isn't inside of an async function. So, okay, that's very weird. Okay, so load products. Put this inside of an async. And async function. Load products is going to have to contain this. And it's going to have to async function load products. Let me see what's going on. Okay, so useEffect can only be called inside of the body of a function. So let me comment this out real quick. And let me go ahead and say, just go back. Actually, I think I can go back a few times. Back to when I was getting the data. Okay, so now we see that our data we're getting back. We can now use a react.useEffect. And maybe this isn't the best way to do it. Async function load products. And then we can go ahead and write this dependencies array. It's already there. Okay, so now we can say set the products to data. And this should work. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, that is weird. I did not mean for that to happen. This actually is not supposed to be that. It's supposed to be this instead. And what is going on? Hold on. Write this out again. And then async function load products, set products to data. So this is invalid now. So now let's see what's going on. React.useEffect is calling this. So now we need to say load products. And I guess it's still not working. Okay. That's really weird. What I'm going to do is pause and try to find a better solution for this. So I found the corporate and it was this setter function here. So it was setting the data and it was causing us to run into an error. But now when we refresh, we go ahead and we can use our useEffect to take in our async function. It's going to load the products and set the products in from the data, which is from our loader outside of our component instead of inside. And then we go ahead and run up load products and everything is working as expected. And what we were seeing is that if we got an error here, let's say we didn't load up anything, we could then handle this state instead of our whole application crashing. We can then handle this and say failed to get products or something like that. But for right now, it's working and this is my solution. I'll go ahead and update it if there is a better solution. All right, I just wanted to update here because I kind of just came across something crazy. So we don't even have to do all of this. We can honestly discard that. And the reason why is because everything is being referenced by product. And since the data here is basically giving us the array of objects, because we already made that call up here, all we have to do is change this name into product. And then we can remove this. And let's see, all of our products should be loaded up. Let's say products. And then we can remove this use state and everything is working. So we don't even have to set the products into state in the first place. What's going to happen is that we're going to use the loader data, which is going to take the data from the async function loader, which is going to await get products, which is being done inside of this get products. We're already going to wait for the response, fetch the products, let the data equals the response converted into JSON, return the data dot products. So those array of, let's say 9 products that we have. And then inside of our shop, we can go ahead and await the get products and then return the data, which is that array of 8 objects. So, or 9 objects. So now we don't even have to save into state anymore. All we simply have to do is use the loader data function, which we're getting from up here. And then we go back up here. I think it's around here. And then we can just set that to products. So it's almost like saying products. And then when we go here and we map, we can go ahead and say, we're going to map over our products and it's going to be the displayed products. So the displayed products is going to take a type filter. Remember, this is for when we go ahead and set one of these filters. And then basically we're going to say products.filter, and then we're going to take the product. So products, remember, that's the array of 8 or of 9 products. We're going to filter it by its type. Remember, that's the type up here. And if it equals to the type filter, we're only going to display those products. Otherwise, we're just going to return all of the products. So that's how we basically map over all of our products. And everything else should be working perfectly fine. One thing that I am noticing though, that is very weird. This is not working for some reason, this clear filter. So let me go to my clear filter real quick. That's very weird. So let me see, explore our products, skincare. Okay, so, and then set search params to clear. I don't know why that's being weird. Let me go ahead and restart the server. And I'm just going to put a new URL. I'm going to start from home. I'm going to go to shop. I'm going to go to wearables. So clear filters isn't working. I guess I'm going to try to fix that next. All right, so I'm going to do the loaders quiz now. And the loaders quiz is just going to ask a few questions and I'm going to try to answer them. So first question, when does the code in the loader function runs? So the code in the loader function will actually run before the component is rendered. So when we click on our shop page, first the fetch request is happening, and then once we have the data from the request, then our component will render. And the reason why this is happening is because our function loader is going to await get products. And get products is this file right here that's going to fetch the API of all of our products. And then it's going to return the data. Of course, that is the same data.products. And now when we go ahead and we use the products, we use the loader data. And everything in here is basically dependent on that data, meaning that before we can map over our products with mapped products, we will first have to get the products. So meaning this page will not render until this fetch request has been successful of getting all of our products first. So I think that's question number 1. So what are some benefits of using the data loader function instead of fetching our data in the use effect in a component? I think the biggest benefit is the fact that we don't have to keep track of loading states anymore. So before we had to make an object and we had to say it was loading and set the loading, and then we had to set it to false, and then we had to run the async function and then set the loading to true, and then after the fetch request has finished, then we had to set it back to false. So that is completely out now. We don't have to basically use more state than we have to. It just makes it a lot more simple. Another benefit is that since the data is loading up on the page before we get any of the items, we can know that if we get the data, then the items will automatically be placed on. So as we see here, we're still using the loading state and we have that little loading screen, but when we go back, we don't. It just goes back and it doesn't have any loading over it. So it basically handles that for us. Let me see, because I feel like there's another benefit. Other than also getting rid of all this code, this is also a really big benefit. And then we don't have to use any try-catch methods. And there's probably more benefits that I just can't come to the top of my head right now. But I think that's it for number 2. So what change do we need to make to our browser router before we can use our loaders or any of the new data layer API features in our app? So we can't use the browser router keyword in general, so we have to go ahead and rip that out. And instead we have to use something called the router provider. But to use the router provider, we have to pass through the prop of router, and we have to equal it to a variable called router. I don't know that this actually has to be called router, but what this is doing is taking our create browser router. So this is creating a browser router, and it's turning it into the object that the route can, or that the router provider can then read. So, and then to turn it into an object, we have to create routes from elements. So we're going to take these elements and convert them to routes, which is just objects in an array. And it's just a much easier way of doing it. And we go ahead and render everything with the router provider. Okay, number 4, what are the steps we need to take in order to use a loader on any given route? So first of all, what we're going to have to do is find the element or the route that we want to actually use a loader. So here in shop, the path of shop, we went ahead and we used a loader by saying loader equals shop page loader. So when we go to the import statement, we see that we are importing it as the loader function. And we're basically changing the name of it to shop page loader because everyone isn't, or all of the routes aren't going to be able to use the same exact name. And inside of our shop, we have a async function called loader. And this is basically going to await get products, which is coming from our API, so on, so forth. We return the data. And then once we use the loader data, this is a hook. And once we use this hook, we can go ahead and grab the return data from the loader function and put it inside of a variable. And all this is giving me is basically the data. So the array of 9 objects, which is going to mean all of our products.